Hello and welcome in, race fans, to tonight's event in Rockingham. Coming off of an off week for some of the holidays and getting ready for a 3-race stretch to the playoffs. Joining me alongside, as always, is my co-host and league owner, Tom Richter.
Good evening, Arie, and good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Tonight we are at Rockingham Speedway, and Arie, we come to probably one of the most difficult tracks on the schedule for these drivers. This track is only a mile long, but it races a lot more like a Texas or a Charlotte than it does, say, a New Hampshire or a Dover.
I feel like at different points on this track and in different cars, it kind of races like so many different tracks on the schedule. It's kind of a shorter version, a shorter hodgepodge of every element that you see on the calendar. It's one of the trickiest challenges for sure, and especially when you're driving like these NASCAR trucks with kind of the lower power and the ability to really push on the edge with these things, you can get some really good racing action.
You absolutely can, and you're going to see drivers all race long go down into turn number 3, and they're going to be moving up and down and up and down, and that's because of the abrasiveness of the track out here this evening. Drivers do have 5 tire sets that they can use, and tires are going to be at a premium of all.
I'm looking forward to it. You were bringing my attention to the fact that most of these drivers out here throughout practice have been doing long runs. Very, very few short runs to be seen. Most people are putting all of their eggs in the in the race green flag run basket. Not too worried about qualifying, though it will be important. I think everyone understands the task ahead, and that is going to be keeping those tires underneath you.
It absolutely will be, as these drivers begin to make their final 4 minutes of open practice out here tonight. Taking a look right now at Lee Campbell, Eric Anderson, Dave Gainforth, and company on the backstretch down here. And we'll go on board here real quick with Lee Campbell and just see how much these drivers are moving around. And you can hear them having to play with the throttle a little bit here. Let's take a lap around here.
Yeah, heading into turn 1 following the 55 of Greg Mitchell, this is going to be a really common entry point, kind of halfway up the track, maybe a little higher. Now, Lee's choosing to kind of diamond down to the bottom of the corner off exit, which is going to work. Long run, you got to be careful not to be too hard on that right front, but it's going to be the same entry into turn 3 and then dive it kind of down the corner on exit. It'll get a little bit loose, especially as you run the rest of the or the length of the race out. But Tom, just through that one lap alone, we could already see the huge difference in how the 55 is running versus how the 60 is running.
And that's because Greg just came out on his run. And it looks, if I'm doing my math correct, it looks like Lee's on about 14 to 15 lap tires in the current run that the 60 truck is currently working on. So, yeah, absolutely, that's going to be the difference. And if we get an untimely yellow with our stages out here tonight, maybe a caution 5 laps before the end of the stage, 6 laps before the end of the stage, I don't know that you come down. I think you have to wait for the stage caution.
Yeah, I think you do so as well, and man, I'm really excited to see some of the strategies, especially considering, Tom, now that we're getting down to the last 3 races before the playoffs, we got to start thinking about crunch time for the point standings and for the drivers looking to secure their spot with the wild card. As it sits currently, Lee Campbell would be the 10th driver in at 409 points, but he doesn't have a big buffer because Mike Stiverson, driver who we're watching right now, is sitting at 395, and Dustin Ping is still in it at 383. I'm looking at those 3 drivers tonight more than anyone in terms of that points battle, but of course there is the 2 wildcard spots that we're not accounting for, and who knows how that's going to go.
Absolutely, and I do like Dustin's path to the playoff here, right? Because in order to get into the playoffs, it is top 10 in points or one of the 2 drivers with the most stage points. So the top 2 drivers with the most stage points outside of the top 10. Right now, Dustin's in a pretty good spot. He comes into tonight's race 13th in points, but he's got almost double the amount of stage points. So he's feeling pretty good about the wild card, even if he misses the playoff in the points.
Yeah, it's got to be a pretty good spot to be in for Dustin. Obviously, you want to just be locked in and not have to worry about it, but if he doesn't get in one way, he'll get in the other way more than likely. I mean, you and I have raced Dustin enough to know he's got the speed for it, so as long as he can keep that car in one piece, he should be able to get in there. I'm really curious to see how the battle unfolds with some of those other drivers, the Lee Campbells, the Eric Andersons, the Mike Stiversons, and who knows, maybe even a good enough tear out of a driver like Philip Van Vliet could get up in there and maybe spoil the party a little bit.
Couldn't agree more. Right now, Corey Sherman following the number 3 truck around as we have just about a minute remaining out here in open practice. The 3 truck comes back out on track. First time we've seen that black and green Chief machine out here in the past several weeks. Corey started out our season, had some rough luck, took a couple of weeks off, and he said he's coming back for Rockingham. I think he was joking before. He said, I may start from the pits because the past couple of races he hasn't made it past turn 1. So we'll see what the strategy is for Corey out here tonight.
I tell you what, all we need is Corey to make it to the finish of a race on the lead lap, and that might be enough to break the bad luck streak. It's been about that bad this season, so if he can keep that thing going, keep it on the lead lap, I think he'll be happy by the end of it. As we see Eric Anderson slide down to the inside. Eric, who's been having a solid season, won the season opener, of course, and, you know, a lot of drivers and a lot of people out there might have slept on the driver of the 43, Tom, and maybe expected him to fall out of the playoffs at one point or another, but I tell you what, Eric has kept himself in the top 10 the entire season up to this point.
He has, and with just 3 races remaining, it's go or go home time for that number 43 truck. Started out the season strong. Still got to hang on tonight, next week at the Roval, and then finally at Talladega in 3 weeks. But the checkered flag is out over practice, and I guess it's about time we go qualifying here on a Tuesday night, Arie.
That it is. Qualifying at the Rock, going to be pushing it to the limit, and don't forget that you can't even so much as breathe on that outside wall without forfeiting your lap time, and this is one of the tracks that we're going to see drivers hitting the wall the most, so I wouldn't be surprised, Tom, if we see a couple of laps be disallowed from touching the wall, maybe even a surprise or two.
Very well could be. Well, we're going to take a ride around with the 89, the lone Dutchman. This is Philip Van Vliet out here tonight, and see what Philip's able to do and try to put some speed in that Toyota Tundra out here. He's going to take the green flag for his qualifying attempt.
TNA Motorsports driver Philip Van Vliet dives it down into turn number 1. Going to take a pretty aggressive entry right there. Try to get the truck woed up and rotate down towards the bottom of the track. Not really a line that you're going to see all too much, but some drivers find themselves a little more comfortable all the way down there on the bottom. Opting to take the high line through 3 and 4. This is going to set up a really nice run down the front stretch to start lap number 2.
And I like that high line in 3 and 4 as he crosses the start-finish line because it also misses the bumps. A lot of the bumps in 3 and 4 right along the bottom. Looks like he's going to miss the entry down there into turn number 1. Turn number 1, I want to be a little bit closer to that yellow line down there. But we'll see if he does the same thing down here in 3 and 4 and try to avoid those bumps. He's going to run a little bit lower and come across and complete lap number 2 for that 89.
Man, you know those bumps are serious when you can see it from the TV camera here as we watch the suspension go crazy. Van Vliet across the line, put him P5 at the moment. Gibson provisionally on pole. We're watching Gary Bowman, driver of the 8 Tundra, dive it down into turn number 3. This is Gary's second and final lap. We'll see if he can shoot himself up the board. Gibson remains on pole for the time being. We're going to cut the apron, and Mr. Bowman's going to send it P9.
Another driver beginning his laps out here right now is Larry Bell in that 05. Larry, when it comes to finishes, Arie, I don't think the 05 has had the finishes this season that he's really running. Larry had some bad luck out here this season, but we'll see what he's able to do as he comes across the line. First time by for that 05. Going to be good enough for 18th on the board for Mr. Bell as Andrew Caldwell, new top of the board.
Caldwell puts it P1. Great lap to dethrone Cody Gibson, who's been so fast all season. To your point, Larry Bell is certainly one of those drivers who's had more speed than his results show. Just needs 1 or 2 of these races to kind of swing the other way and kind of get that momentum in his court. He's going to cross the line to finish his second lap around, and the 05 is going to sit in P20 after that qualifying run.
Some time to make up for that 05, but we're going to go on board here with Tanner Marr in that number 4 Chevy Silverado out of 5 Kings Motorsports and see what Tanner's able to do as he crosses the line. This is going to be his second time scored. He's going to pick up to 9th on the board as we got just a couple of more drivers out on track right now. Let's actually click over to Mike Stiverson, fastest in practice out here tonight. And Mike said he felt pretty comfortable in this number 20 truck. We'll see if he can replicate his practice efforts out here.
We can see him getting a big run off of turn 4 to start the first lap right there, having been all the way up against a wall. It's going to go all the way up there again. Through turns 1 and 2, get a long run down the back straightaway. We can jump on board and and just kind of ride along here as we enter turn 3. It's a very, very aggressive corner entry in terms of how they configure this track. You can hear him playing with the throttle just a little bit as he begins lap number 2. Across line for the first time, P15.
15th is what Mike is going to have to improve on his second lap out here. Lee Campbell just finished his 2 laps, goes 10th on the board, and now you hear Mike power down. Last car out on an active track right now is this 20 car. See if he's got anything for the pole out here tonight. Takes a little bit of a higher line through 3 and 4, back on the throttle and to the line.
Gonna cut the apron as well, and at the second lap, Mike Stiverson shoots at P7, well inside the top 10 for the 20 truck, and that is, by the looks of it, everybody who's going to attempt a qualifying lap. We've got 4 drivers electing not to go out on track to set a lap: Tomlinson, Corey Sherman, Dorsey, and DiMaggio.
Quiet track over the Speedway right now from Rockingham. Want to check in and say hello to everybody out on YouTube. Thanks for coming out to another Tuesday night. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday. Arie, when we come into a place like Rockingham, I think you got to pick some short track specialists. I think you got to pick some of the favorites, right? Who's your favorite out here tonight to take the checkered flag?
Well, I tell you what, I think Cody Gibson's got some unfinished business. Last time we were here in Rockingham, one thing led to another. I got myself wrecked out of the race, and lo and behold, Cody Gibson was the driver to beat, but he shot himself in the foot with a bad restart and lost that race. That could have been his first win, so he'll have some unfinished business. But I tell you what, Tom, you know who else has unfinished business? Jason Raymond, who was so strong in North Wilkesboro, comes back to another short track with another shot at it. I wouldn't be surprised to see that 49 truck competing for a win. With that said,
we get
go ahead.
set to take a look at the starting lineup from tonight's event out here from Rockingham for the Mother Trucker 200. Andrew Caldwell is going to be rolling off from the pole position with Cody Gibson to his outside on the front row. Greg Mitchell and Rick Thompson going to make up row number 2 with Jason Raymond in the top 5. Matt Semple is going to be starting 6th on the board, and Mike Stiverson rolls off 7th. Eric Anderson, Brad Holmes, and Tanner Marr rounds out the top 10.
In 11th, it's going to be Lee Campbell, driver of the 60, ahead of Philip Van Vliet. Nathan Dufton and Ed Jurgen, 13th and 14th place. Starting 15th, it's going to be Dustin Ping, followed by Gary Bowman in the 8 truck. Amanda Sherman in the War Wagon starts us off in 17th, ahead of Andy Cork. Dave gained 4th, and Chris Letts round out our top 20.
And on the outside of the top 20 looking in, we got Paxton Frith in that number 7 truck out here every week, looking to see if he can have a good run out here tonight. Larry Bell in the 05 truck. He's got some work to do if he wants to find his way forward. Starts 22nd on the board in front of Steven Music in that 09. Frank DiMaggio in that number 24, going to be rolling off on 24th. And then you've got a couple of drivers elected not to take time. Corey Sherman, Brian Dorsey, and Casey Tomlinson rolling off the back of the field out here from the field of 27 drivers for tonight's event.
All right, one of the biggest challenges of the year ready to get underway. We've got, I don't know, can you call Andrew Caldwell a surprise pole sitter? I guess with how the season's been going, it's surprising to see anyone but Gibson or Mitchell up there, but props to the 46 truck. He's going to be in control here. And to something that's come up before, Tom, Andrew Caldwell is a short track driver.
Yes, he most certainly is. And Andrew, we saw him get a win in the other series that the Cyber Thunder Racing League runs at Bristol. And we'll see if he's able to carry that short track momentum over out here tonight. He elects to take the inside lane with Cody Gibson to his outside.
Going for a more traditional race start. These drivers got to be careful down into turn 1 on cold tires, whether it's the race start or a restart. It's really easy for those rear tires to not really grip into the track and lose that rear end as you enter the corner. That's how I got myself wrecked out last season when we came here to Rockingham. So we'll see if that comes back to bite anyone else. But I'm looking forward to this one, Tom. This should be a real good door-to-door battle that we're gonna see.
It absolutely is. 200 laps of racing in front of us out here tonight for the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series. It's about time we go racing here from Rockingham, North Carolina. Arie, what do you say? Let's get to the green flag out here tonight. Andrew Caldwell, Cody Gibson on the front row, and everybody's off and away.
A lot of wheel spin we can see out of the 1 and drivers further back, the 49 of Raymond, and who knows further back into the field. Little bit of wheel spin even on the race start. That's something these drivers are going to have to remember moving forward. We can already see just how spread out the field is from that as Caldwell controls the race into turns 3 and 4. Cody Gibson might have company from the 55 of Mitchell.
Greg Mitchell's going to try to take advantage of that as there's an issue towards the back. Is that Dustin Ping? Now, that might have been Lee Campbell. Had a little bit of an off track there. He's going to keep it in the right direction. But everybody working first lap cold tires out here tonight. As you can see, Lee once again getting sideways. But then Cody Gibson for the race lead takes a look down to the inside and tries to make that pass on Andrew Caldwell. But it looks like Andrew Caldwell's going to lead us through lap 2.
That he does. Cody Gibson got extremely loose trying to make that bottom line work. He was trying to aggressively get to the lead and control this race. That's what you got to do. But he got way loose. That gives up P2 to Greg Mitchell. And now Gibson's got to slot back in and find that rhythm because he's got a very hungry Rick Thompson, who we're on board with right here, running in P4, looking to capitalize.
Rick kind of running the middle of the track right here, trying to put some clean air on the front of that truck. Even though this track's only a mile long, clean air certainly means a whole lot out here tonight. As Rick's going to slide up and down into turn 1 a little bit higher. You see the battle happen in 4th, 2nd place. Right in front of them now, Cody Gibson coming back to Greg Mitchell there.
That he is, and I tell you who's loving this. That's Andrew Caldwell in the 46, who knows he's got the 2 best on the season chasing him down, but the more they battle each other, the more that allows that 46 truck to kind of get an advantage right there. And we can't count out Rick Thompson or Jason Raymond, either of those 2 drivers lurking right behind, just kind of waiting for this run to play out. And if anything, I think we're going to see a very persistent Jason Raymond today. I talked to him a little bit after the last race in North Wilkesboro, Tom, and he was very upset about how it played out. He felt like he could have won that race, felt like it was maybe his one shot. So we'll see what he can do tonight.
The entire field comes down here into turn number 3. The top 5 separated by just about a second or so from Caldwell down to Raymond. That's the top 5 as they move right now. Other battles close out on track right now. Dustin Ping and Eric Anderson, they're going at it down here into turn number 3. Dustin Ping trying to pick up a couple of spots. He's already up 4 spots from his qualifying position in 15th out here tonight. So currently trying to take a top 10 running spot away from Eric Anderson early into tonight's race.
And let's not forget, Dustin Ping is one of those drivers looking to make it into the playoffs on points, as is the 43 of Eric Anderson right there. So that's a battle that we'll keep an eye on for sure. Gary Bowman, a little bit further back, working over Nathan Duffin, battling for P14 on track. Gary Bowman still in a little bit of a rut, Tom, not having the qualifying that we're used to seeing out of that 8 truck, looking to kind of find that rhythm again.
Yeah, Gary. I spoke to Gary, I think it was last week or maybe the week before. And Gary was saying, something just feels off, right? When you think about Gary, when you think about tires, and you think about his ability to save tires better than almost anybody else out here in the field. And maybe there's a little bit with the stages this season that he needs to find that balance between saving them for the stages and also going at the same time. And that's a fine line to work.
It certainly is, and it looks like we've got trouble on the racetrack. First caution is going to fly on lap 9, and we will try and see if we can't queue up a replay and see just who had a bad time here for the yellow. No clear indicators as of yet, but let's take a look and see if we can find out. Riding on board with Paxton Frith in the 7 truck, just going to go for a single spin. Little contact with that inside wall, but the nose of that truck looks to be okay for the most part. I'd love to see if we can get a onboard shot with Paxton Frith as he loses control off of turn 2. Just a slight correction. Not too bad of an overcorrection. Didn't catch any other cars up in the action right there. Didn't hit that outside wall. Great job to avoid anything too crazy right there. Couldn't keep it all the way straight, but shouldn't be too much of an issue for Mr. Frith. Bringing out the first yellow tonight. And with that, we reset the field. Andrew Caldwell remains in control, but Greg Mitchell is going to be the second truck out of Cody Gibson, Rick Thompson, and Jason Raymond.
All right, so about 10 laps down here, Arie. Don't expect anybody to be coming down onto pit road from this most recent caution, but kind of a little bit of a test these first 10 laps. Kind of get a feel for it. We saw some drivers sliding around. We saw Lee Campbell getting sideways on the first couple of laps. It's got to be sitting in the back of your mind here on this next restart here with cold tires and a heat cycle now on them.
It's got to be, and if it isn't on your mind, you might be one of the drivers that we're watching tumble down the order down into turn number 1. And speaking about tumbling down the order or even going up the order, there's a couple of drivers who've been making big moves early on. Tanemar's up 3 positions. Dustin Ping, we were watching a little bit, he's up 4 positions. Corey Sherman up 4 positions from where those drivers started. And I can't help but wonder, Tom, you know, is that a result of drivers just kind of settling in for the first run of the race? Or perhaps are some of these drivers deciding that pushing their trucks just a little harder for the track position is going to be worthwhile despite the trade-off on the long run?
I think some of it, Arie, and obviously we're getting closer to the start of the playoffs here, so that's certainly got something to do with it. But I think a lot of it is these drivers that are moving forward, I think they're trying to set themselves up to have an easier stage 2. Stage 2 going to be at lap 90, so that's when stage 2 is going to end. And then, I mean, we could see only 1, maybe 2 green flag pit stops to the end of the stage. So I think if I'm one of these drivers pushing now, I think it's more so about the end of the race.
It's a fair point. Track position is king, especially when you've got such a competitive field, such as we do here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Pace car is going to get ready to pull off once again. This time Andrew Caldwell electing to take the outside line. Let's watch for some wheel spin. Green flag in the air, and we are a go.
Andrew Caldwell's going to be up through the gearboxes for the first time as the race leader, now up on the outside. Likes to take that outside lane, try to carry that momentum through turns 1 and 2, trying to fend off a hard-charging Greg Mitchell right now, who's still able to hold a position on the inside. Battle still for the race lead. 46.55, not yet decided.
That might have been just what Greg needed. Give himself a shot down into turn 3 once you're up to speed. Now this is going to be a neck-and-neck battle until one of them has to slide back in. Andrew clears Greg, but Greg still goes for the inside line. Now, he's got to be careful, Tom, because the one truck of Cody Gibson, he's charging hard, and Greg has he's raced a lot of Cody this season.
And you could see from this view here, you could see the momentum that Cody Gibson had on the exit of turn number 2 here, and now he's going to think about getting his nose down into the left side of that number 55. Not going to be able to make it happen just yet as they run, but Greg Mitchell is not going anywhere with this 46.
No, he is not, but Andrew Caldwell, he's putting on a great performance so far in this event. Mitchell looks like he's gone into more of a defense mode at this point, trying to hold off the one of Cody Gibson. You can hear him blip out of the throttle. That's going to give Gibson the opportunity. He's not going to look to the inside, not until Greg touches the wall right there. This could be enough for P2 to swap over. They're definitely going to go side by side down the backstretch, and Rick Thompson's got a great view of it.
And I was just going to say it, if they do swap here, Rick Thompson tries to fill that hole that Cody Gibson is making, but Greg is running all the way up against that outside retaining wall as Cody is not able to clear by so much on the exit of turn number 4. It looks like Cody is now going to be clear of him, and Rick Thompson's going to try to take now 3rd place over from Greg Mitchell as everybody swaps throughout the top 4.
That they do, and those two drivers were driving it so hard on entry just to try and get the advantage over the other one. That's why we saw Greg get into the wall just a little bit. You got to kind of drive it in as far as you can and maybe get your elbows out just a little bit, especially when you're racing somebody who you view as your biggest competition. But they get it settled out. Greg holds on ahead of the 76 truck, and up front, Cody Gibson's looking for one more spot.
He is. Last time by was about half a tenth faster than race leader Andrew Caldwell, as you see the two very different lines being used right now between Cody Gibson, the driver we're on board with, and the 46, who's just clearing himself of Cody Gibson. That time by, again, about a tenth faster for Cody Gibson. So that kind of brings us to the point of it's so difficult to pass here because you need the entire track, especially on the exit of 2 there, and you saw Cody out to get out of the throttle.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Caldwell backs up turn 3 quite a bit. That might be enough for Gibson to clear on exit. Yes, we'll see if Caldwell crosses over. He's going to dive it down to the inside, maybe bring Greg Mitchell with him. Mitchell's going to settle back in, but now let's see what Gibson can do on the high side of the track.
It's a mirrored image of the last lap that we just saw, with Gibson now up on the outside and Caldwell down on the inside. Caldwell not able to hold position on the number 1. That's going to put Caldwell in a position where he might be in trouble from this 55 if he can't slot back in, which he does. And now Gibson, Caldwell, Mitchell, that's the top 3 as they move.
Cody Gibson, race leader for the first time tonight. Andrew Caldwell in second. Greg Mitchell, Rick Thompson. That's our 4-truck breakaway. At the front of the field, you got to go back about a second before you get to Matt Semple in the 16 and a sneaky Mike Stiverson in the 20 truck, knocking on the top 5, on the door of the top 5. I'm going somewhere with that, Tom. And right now we can see these 3 shuffling themselves up. All the while, Cody Gibson has pulled about half a second in 1 lap.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last time by, he was almost 0.3 of a second faster for that number 1 truck than the 55 or the 46. And I think part of that is that these drivers are back here still trying to figure out who wants to win second, who wants to win third. But there's definitely some speed in that Cheetos machine.
That there is, as these two continue to go at it. Greg Mitchell up to P2. Looking like he'll hold on to it as we go further back. Dustin Ping, one of our biggest movers of the race, up 7 spots into the top 10. Having a go with Tanner Marr on the inside and Brad Holmes on the outside right there. You can see just how squirrely these trucks are on corner exit. That's going to show up on exit of 2 more than anything. Looks like they're going to slot in right here, and this might give Dustin the opportunity to try and make a pass on Brad. Yes, he's going to send it to the inside.
Going to take a look to the inside of the 0-0 of Brad Holmes and slide up just a little bit, about half the track, but Brad's going to run that 0-0 all the way up to the outside retaining wall. And these 3 drivers, I tell you, I don't know that there's a better combination of drivers to watch when it comes to excitement out here. These 3 drivers, you know that each one of them is giving it their all every single corner.
Certainly the case. I mean, you've got a great case for all 3 of these drivers. Tanner's usually, I mean, as of recent, kind of keeping his nose clean and finding the results, but let's not forget that Tanner Marr just about wrecked a lap down car going for a win at Talladega, not realizing he was a lap down. So good stuff from Tanner. We know what to expect out of Dustin and Brad, of course, week to week. So fun little trio of drivers right there. And Dolik now up 6 positions. Gary Bowman in 10th place. He has found some magic as these tires have worn out and the run has gone on.
Gary is running laps as fast as second and third place Greg Mitchell and Andrew Caldwell with the 26.08. Last time by Greg with the 26.04. So definitely faster than this next group of drivers in front of him. And that's what we expect to see out of Gary. And I think that's what he's been trying to work on this entire season. Trying to find that balance of when to go and how much to save and when to push.
Yeah, certainly could be the case, and I think a track like this is exactly what Gary needed to kind of get his head straight and get back going in the right direction in terms of feel behind the wheel as we watch Dustin Ping now working over Mike Stiverson. He should get that position relatively easy right here. That's P6 on the charge for Dustin, up 9 positions and looking like he's just as fast as earlier on in the run, Tom. It looks like those tires are holding on pretty good so far.
One of the biggest movers of the night is the 81, already up 9 spots from his qualifying position as he made his way around Mike Stiverson in that number 20. And he's going to be knocking on the door of the top 5 here in a couple of laps if he continues at this pace as he now pulls away by about 3 car lengths over Mike Stiverson.
Going to continue to open that gap. It's got some clean track to work with. We're going to jump further back in the pack. Driver who has been having a really bad go since the restart. That's the 49 of Jason Raymond. He's down 11 positions from where he started. Potential issues for the 49, more than just tire wear. We'll have to keep tabs on that one. But Eric Anderson's going to take over P15 ahead of him. And we've got quite the kerfuffle going on right here. It's led by Lee Campbell in the 60, trying to drive away from it.
Eric Anderson is thinking about 2 things out here tonight. He says, I need points. 3 things, I guess. I need points, I need stage points, and I need a good finish. It's not very easy to get all 3 of those in the same basket at the end of the night.
No, it isn't, but to finish the race, first you must finish. Eric Anderson has got to keep that truck clean and he'll be good. He'll be getting some points as long as he can stay out of the incidents, especially at a track like Rockingham, where you never know what could happen. Sometimes it's an attrition race, and we'll see what happens. Eric's been pretty good about keeping his truck out of trouble on a week-to-week basis.
These drivers are going to see about 20 laps to go remaining out here in the stage. Fuel run out here tonight is anywhere between 50 and 55 laps. We had that early caution for Paxton Frith in that number 7. So all these drivers should be good to make it the full way throughout this stage on fuel. But a lot of these drivers, these tires got to be screaming. It looks like only one driver did stop on that yellow flag, and that was Casey Tomlinson, who pit on lap 10.
That he did, and we're going to see a battle right here for P2 as Andrew Caldwell is going to take over the spot from Greg Mitchell through turns 1 and 2. This isn't usually something that we're used to seeing, Tom, is Greg Mitchell faltering on a long run.
Yeah, I mean, Greg is usually pretty good about saving his tires and kind of pushing it at the right moment, but you got to wonder with him racing Cody Gibson and Andrew Caldwell hard on the restart, maybe he used a little bit more. We saw him get into the wall a little bit. I think it's all cosmetic. Don't think there's any actual damage on that 55, but we did see that 55 pushing a little bit more than maybe what we're used to.
Certainly could be the case, but let's also bring some light to the fact that Andrew Caldwell is running all the way up against the wall on entry and kind of pulling it off as he exits the corner. Greg Mitchell's still committed to the bottom throughout the corner, so they are running extremely different lines on board with Caldwell, even clipping the wall. He's getting so close to it and then just kind of riding down the banking of the corner. So it might not even be entirely a tire wear situation. Perhaps Caldwell has just found a line that works well on these old tires.
And you can see the difference between him and the race leader, Cody Gibson, who's about 1.8 seconds in front of him. You can see the line difference. Caldwell electing to take as high as he can possibly be, and Gibson pretty much around that yellow line around both corners of the speedway here. We'll see if they continue to take the alternating lines down here, and Andrew's going to be a little bit lower there this time by in 3 and 4.
Well, I tell you what, I would love to get a look right here at the past couple of lap times right here between Caldwell and Gibson, because I do believe Caldwell has been reeling him in, and yes, indeed, Andrew Caldwell is starting to find some speed over that one truck, whether it be the tire wear or the different lines being used. I could kind of see it from the onboard through the eye test, and I kind of wanted to take a look at the gaps. I think this time by, Gibson's going to open that gap up again. We'll see as they cross the line, but something to keep an eye on, as we've still got enough time to the end of the stage for Caldwell to potentially get there if he can keep it up.
Last time by, Cody Gibson was just a little bit faster, about 1/100th of a second faster for the number 1 truck. A couple of drivers still, I tell you what, Dustin Ping may be a factor in stage 2 and stage 3, because Dustin Ping is making his way forward. We talked about him passing Mike Stiverson about 10 laps ago. He's now passed Rick Thompson, and he's now inside the top 5.
That he has, and following his tire tracks is Gary Bowman, who we can see just at the edge of frame, running right behind Rick. Gary Bowman has gone up 9 positions to Dustin's 10, so he's been following suit. And a name we haven't said yet tonight, Tom, that 3 truck of Corey Sherman, working over Tanner Marr for 9th position. Corey has gone up 15 positions from the start of this race, now finds himself in stage point territory and continuing to move forward. And being a driver that started at the back of the field, usually you kind of see the driver taper off at some point, because making all those passes does use tire, no matter how good you're saving them. So the fact that Corey's still moving forward is kind of surprising to me.
He absolutely is, and up 15 spots, like you said, and maybe one more spot before the end of the stage out here, as he may have something for Mike Stiverson in the next lap or two, as he's going to try to hunt down that number 20 Toyota Tundra directly in front of him. But he's got company from the rearview mirror, and that is Tanner Marr. Tanner trying to come through if there is an opening between these 2 drivers.
He's going to be keeping his eyes open to it, but Corey Sherman's going to look to the inside of the 20 truck, going to try and take over this position the hard way from Stiverson. Of course, that outside line, it's always easier to defend from, especially on old tires, but at a track like Rockingham, with just how abrasive it is on the tires, just how many different lines you can get away with. It's kind of hard to defend a position. You know, you can get past on the inside, on the outside. You can get past 3 wide. You name it, and you can do it at a track like this. And we see Corey get around the 20 truck right there. That's P8 now on the run, and we'll see if he can do any more with it. But the stage ends in about 10 laps.
These drivers see 10 laps to go over the stage, and Gary Bowman continues his march forward as he's currently working over Rick Thompson, trying to take 6th place away from the 76, the Speed Mafia, on the outside line. Get a little loose on the exit of turn number 2, smack the outside retaining wall, and that's going to open up the door for that Toyota Tundra to come through and take 6th place away from Mr. Bowman.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, so far, I think we've seen maybe even an exaggerated picture of what we expected coming into it. I mean, we knew it was a tire wear kind of race. We knew it was going to be long run centric, but the amount of comers and goers that we've seen, at least the strength in which it has happened, has kind of caught me off guard, to be honest.
It really has. Yeah, I mean, it's not very often that you see an improvement of 10 spots in the first stage with Gary Bowman, 16 with Corey Sherman, 10 with Dustin Ping. So it's not very often that you see that and then see them continue to make progress throughout the continuation of the stage. And that's what you were just saying, is that we haven't seen that fall off here. But looks here from Matt Semple on the inside of the 55. 55 continues to fall back a little bit here. Maybe abuse those tires more than he wanted to.
Very much could have some surprising turnout here from Greg Mitchell, who's going to drop down into P4 now, as Matt Semple in that 16 truck has just quietly kept his race going. He finds himself in the top 3. I feel like that's been Matt's story all season long, is just quiet enough to kind of avoid the spotlight, but good enough to kind of be in the conversation, more or less.
Corey Sherman's going to take a look at 7th place for Rick Thompson here, trying to get that AIG Chevy Toyota Tundra into the top 7 before the end of the stage. We're going to see 5 laps to go. Next time by in the stage, as there's a little bit of contact, a little bit of argy-bargy down there on the exit turn number 2, but it looks like Corey Sherman's going to be able to make that pass, try to clear it off at turn number 4, and yes, he's going to be able to.
Wouldn't be the first time these two have made contact, maybe not here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, but these two drivers have raced each other many a time over the years. They know how each other races, and Corey Sherman's gonna get the spot there. That's P7, and a little further back, Tanner Marr might be making a charge on Mike Stuyvesant before it's all said and done.
Tanner Marr all over the back of that number 20 truck. I'm a little surprised out of this 20 truck after what I saw in practice with how fast Mike was. Oh.
Issues for the 76.
Rick Thompson has some significant wheel damage, it sounds like, when I'm hearing over the driver's radio here. He says he's got that car turned all the way to the left, and it is barely going straight. So issues for Rick Thompson.
We're going to have to see if we can get a replay right here. I mean, you can already see that truck sideways through turn 4 right there. Gonna overcorrect, and yeah, that'll do it. Man, Mike Stuyvesant got he got out of there quick. That could have been so much worse for the 20 truck.
He got super lucky. Rick elects to stay out on the racing surface.
I guess he's gonna.
I guess he knows the stage is coming soon.
Yeah, I think he'll lose 1 lap at least here with how off the pace he is, but I suppose that's better than losing 3 or 4. We'll see what he can do with that as we watch Cody Gibson, our race leader. He's opened up a 2.3 second lead over second place. Pretty significant, as second place is not even in frame for the most part. Working over some lap traffic at the moment. We're going to have 1 lap to go across the line down into turn 1 for stage number 1.
The first batch of stage points are going to be paid out at the end of this lap. Cody Gibson leads them out of turn number 2 after a strong stage 1, trying to put Casey Tomlinson another lap down. Out here, is he maybe going to cut him a little bit of a break here on the exit turn number 4.
Looks like he is. Gets out of the throttle. Does not elect to lap the 52 and across the line. We're going to wait for 10th place. 10th place, that's Eric Anderson looking for that ever so important stage point. And he is going to nab it across the line right here following Tanner Marr. That is going to be our stage yellow. First stage done and away. And Cody Gibson is your stage 1 winner, followed by Andrew Caldwell, Matt Semple in 3rd, Greg Mitchell and Dustin Ping the top 5, Gary Bowman in 6th, Corey Sherman in 7th, Mike Stiverson, Tanner Barr, and Eric Anderson all score points. Driver's going to get set up behind the pace car right here. Pits are going to be open this time by no lap traffic in the way of any of these leaders, so they'll be able to enter nose to tail. See if we get any shuffling going on down pit road right here. Not necessarily known as one of the trickier pit roads, though it does have a bit of a curve to it, so you never know quite what you can expect out of it. Cody Gibson peels off, leads us down. Caldwell, Semple, Mitchell, Ping.
Everybody's going to come down here and get 4 fresh Goodyears. The next stage does end at the conclusion of lap number 90, so all these drivers should not have fuel as a concern, but probably tires more so than anything else, as these drivers all come down pit road and they begin to make the left-hand turn down into their boxes.
Got my eyes glued on race control as always. No speeding penalties on entry by the looks of it. Would hate to do that this early in the race for certain. Andrew Caldwell does have that first pit stall. We'll see if it proves an advantage, though he entered the pit road with quite a gap to first place. We'll see how it plays out. Oh, wow, he is going to get a fantastic launch. Does Matt Semple beat Cody Gibson? He does not. That was close, but Andrew Caldwell, he's going to be in control of this race yet again. Off of pit road, call it Caldwell, Gibson, Semple, Mitchell, Ping, the top 5. Bowman, Corey Sherman, Marr, Stiverson, Anderson. Correction. Matt Semple did get P2. Sorry to cut you off there, Tom.
No, taking a quick look at Rick Thompson here. Issues for Rick Thompson. Now, while we're under caution here, let's take a look and see if we can't find Rick's issue here real quick while we're still under pace laps out here. He's going to get heavy damage. We cut a little bit short last time to get to the end of the stage, but Rick finds his way all the way down to the inside grass, and I mean, you could just see him fighting the wheel and trying to move that 76 all the way around to pit road, and that's never good when you're trying to remain in championship contention.
Certainly not what the 76 truck needed. We'll see if he can get that damage fixed enough to get back out on track and salvage some points. At the moment, lights are out on the pace car. We are getting ready to send the green flag back out through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. This time, it's Andrew Caldwell, Matt Semple on the front row.
Andrew Caldwell is the control car, and he's going to come up through the gearboxes 4 gears strong as you see wheel spin from the field behind him, but side by side down to turn number 1, Caldwell, Semple, Gibson, and Mitchell. That's the top 4 as they run.
Off in turn number 2, it looks like Gibson just going to clear Semple, take over P2, and have another shot at Andrew Caldwell. If stage 1 was any indication, Caldwell might have the advantage early on, but Cody Gibson has something figured out on the long run. What can Greg Mitchell do this time around, having seen what happened to his tires the first go? And Dustin Ping is now towards the front, having already passed most of the field, to be honest.
And this is what I was saying a little bit earlier tonight, Arie, is that Dustin Ping, Gary Bowman, Corey Sherman, drivers that are the biggest movers of the night, probably trying to set themselves up for an easier stage number 2. Now their goal is just to be in contention once they do get to the beginning of stage number 3, which is coming in just about 40 laps here.
Yeah, stage 2 is going to be over before these drivers know it. Matt Semple has already dropped down to P5 after the restart right there. That opens the door for Dustin Ping to go chase down our race leaders. The more or less undisputed top 3 so far throughout the race, that is. A little further back, Corey Sherman's got the advantage on Gary Bowman, but look at this, Tom. Corey Sherman has a little bit of right front damage to that truck. I'm not sure when he acquired it, and I'm not sure how much that'll be affecting that Toyota Tundra, but enough to catch from the cameras there. We'll have to monitor that as we go.
A little bit of damage ain't hurting Corey Sherman too much right now, at least while the tires are fresh. Let's take a look and see if we can get a better look at that damage that you were mentioning. And I did not see it.
We might need a rear end view off of. I wonder if we can get it off of Tanner Marr right here. Ever so slightly on the right front, just over the wheel well. We might get a better shot at some point.
You can see the distance that Tanner's put on Corey Sherman right here, and you see the line of cars. It's like when you're driving on the highway and you're in the left lane and you look up and you got 45 cars behind you. You can see the line of cars waiting to pounce on the three of Corey Sherman.
Yeah, not what you want to see in your mirror if you're Corey Sherman, though at the same time, this could be by design. Corey could be electing to take the first 5 or 10 laps of the run a little easier. He obviously had something figured out for that first stint where he was charging towards the end, so I guess let him work his magic and we'll see what comes of it. All the while, Andrew Caldwell continues to lead this race, half a second over Cody Gibson, and Greg Mitchell a little further back still.
Rick Thompson has made his way back out onto the track, and that 76, though multiple laps down, is back out on track. He's going to need some help to finish out here tonight with the top 20 or so. We get some late race yellow flags, and everything kind of goes out the window.
That it does, you never know. As we work lap 64 out of 200 this time by Eric Anderson, holding on strong, got that one stage point. And that's kind of been the name of the game for Eric for much of the season, is just kind of creeping into the top 10 at the stage ends and getting one stage point here, 2 stage points there, just enough to kind of keep his head above water in that top 10 and be in a position to lock himself into the ever chaotic and look forward to Scrambler Series.
And those add up over the course of 17 races as we're working race number 14 of 23 out here tonight with next week they've got the Charlotte Roval, and then finally to end the regular season, could you think of a better place to go than Talladega Superspeedway?
Sonoma?
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask.
I knew I'd get a kick out of you for throwing Sonoma in there, but to your point, Talladega, a great race to do it, especially when there's not a win in. I think that's oh so important. It's very controversial these days with real life NASCAR and formats and everything like that. I think you can certainly. I think having a super speedway or a drafting track be a sort of elimination or cutoff event is great, so long as it's not this win-in situation where a 30th place driver takes one of the playoff spots, right? I think in this sort of instance, it's perfect because drivers still need points. There's drivers just above, just below. Drivers need stage points, and drafting tracks are a great way for a 15th place driver to go out there and score 16 stage points all of a sudden.
Absolutely, and that's a very big thing of it too, right? I mean, you could gain a perfect race if you lead every lap, get the pole, win both stages, win the race. 66 points. That's a huge swing when you figure that last place could be looking at 15 or 12 points.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of points on offer on any given race weekend, and you never know when that one position is going to come back to bite you or come back to prove just what you needed. Because every position is a point, and racing this many races throughout a season, it could be the difference. Whether you make that pass for 7th place in the final run, whether you get into the top 10 on that stage, it can really come down to those very few points at the end of the day. As we watch Cody Gibson now trying to work over Caldwell for the race lead, a little bit of deja vu from stage 1. We'll see what Caldwell can do this time, though. He's going to hold on so far.
Yeah, going back to those points here, Arie, real quick. The man that you're looking at on the screen, Andrew Caldwell, a couple of seasons ago, he and I tied for the last position to get into the playoffs, and ultimately he had the tiebreaker, had a better finish than I did, and ran all the way. I want to say he made the final four before coming up a little bit short for the championship. But that's just how important every single point is, and Talladega kind of brings everybody back together, and that's what we love about the regular season.
That we do. Cody Gibson has the advantage now. He's going to make that pass stick, and Caldwell might fancy a shot to try and get back up there at him, but we'll have to see what Andrew can figure out this time around that he didn't do the last time. As much as he was catching Cody Gibson at one point in the last stage, as it played out towards the very end, the last 10 or so laps of that stage, Gibson did open that gap significantly. Stage 2 is effectively a little bit shorter, so that might benefit Andrew Caldwell's chances right here. He's going to continue to put the pressure on the back end of that one truck, and not too far away, Greg Mitchell has been lingering in the picture.
And you can see Dustin Ping right behind Greg Mitchell back there, currently runs in fourth. So those two drivers staying close to one another and making each other stay honest out here tonight. But you can see the top 5 drivers out of the rear view camera of Cody Gibson, but now Caldwell's going to possibly take a look down to the inside. We saw Cody Gibson make the pass down on the inside earlier for the race lead in stage number 1. Can Caldwell do the same thing?
I'm not entirely sure what the answer is to that, but I'm glad that we get to ask that question right here. Caldwell doing a great job to pressure Cody Gibson right here. Cody Gibson trying to score his 5th race win of the season to match Greg Mitchell's tally up to this point. Those two have been going at it. Andrew Caldwell looking for his first here in the Truck Series this season and putting on quite the show. A little further back, Matt Semple, Dustin Ping. These two have raced each other pretty hard in recent times here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Teammates before this season, and now out on track scrapping it out. Advantage Matt Semple at the moment, but Dustin Ping's not going anywhere. He has been one of the fastest trucks tonight, up 10 positions from where he started. Still holding on strong.
Taking a look here real quick, let's close the story on Corey Sherman. Corey Sherman, we noted maybe some damage on that 3 truck and maybe holding up Gary in the early parts of stage number 2. Now there's a little bit of distance between him and the 8 truck, who's now under pressure from the 20 and Mike Stiverson. So Corey Sherman hasn't moved forward, but he also hasn't fallen back.
No, and I think, if anything, that's a good sign. It could just mean that Corey's more built for these long runs, as he's no longer the one under pressure. He is now applying the pressure to the rear end of Tanner Marr in that 4 truck. This is another little combination of drivers that have raced each other countless times in the past. They know how each other gets on track right there, so we'll see what Corey can do with Tanner in this situation. And Gary Bowman up into the top 10 now. He hasn't made as many passes as drivers like Dustin Ping or Corey Sherman, but Gary is a man on a mission, and he's certainly one of those drivers that you just kind of see pick up positions throughout a race and never really lose them.
Quiet driver out here tonight through the opening 80 laps or so of the event is Phil Van Vliet. Started 12th on the board, currently runs in 13th. Haven't seen any real issues for Philip, as he's going to try to get around Nathan Duffman down here and try to take a spot in that Toyota Tundra of Van Vliet. But this is a typical Philip night, right? Just come out here, and before you know it, everybody's starting to have to deal with you before they race.
Certainly the case. The only other thing we would get to make it more of a Philip night is a fuel run towards the end, saving some fuel and climbing up some positions. That is what he can do best, but at the moment he's having a pretty solid night so far, just outside of the top 10, and certainly not at risk of falling down in the field, just kind of holding his own as we run. To monitor the race lead continuously, Gibson still has it, but Caldwell, still to this point, Tom, has not fallen off of that rear bumper.
This is a little bit different than what we saw in stage 1, where we saw Gibson take the race lead, kind of stretch it out by, I think at the peak, it was a little bit under 2 seconds. This time by with 19 laps to go in stage number 2, albeit a little bit shorter in stage number 2. Caldwell's been right with them and actually been maybe just a little bit faster than Gibson.
Yeah, you can see the different lines that these two are racing. You can see how the rear end of Cody Gibson's truck is reacting to some of the bumps, to the way he's running, and I just feel like, from what I'm seeing right now on board with Caldwell, I like what I see out of that 46 truck a lot better. We'll see if that maintains, but it just looks like that 46 truck is just a little bit better at the moment.
See if he has the momentum on the corner exit there. See, he's going to dime in the corner, down at the apex, the center of the corner, the part where you pick your throttle back up through the corner and try to carry that momentum. He's going to run about 2 lanes higher than Cody Gibson here, and we'll see if he's able to close. And you could just see visually, Cody might have had to get out of the gas there, as we're going to have a battle for the race lead with the 46 and 1.
That we are. What can Caldwell do on the bottom? We know that truck is more of a high side setup so far tonight, but Cody Gibson gets into the wall, and the 2 race leaders make contact. Big trouble for Cody Gibson, nosed into the inside wall, and that is a fair amount of damage on that one. Damage to the rear bumper as well. The top 2 have issues, and that is going to change everything. That is also going to end stage 2. That is officially past the designation. So the results for the stage will be at the time of caution and need to be double-checked post-race. But I do believe that will make Andrew Caldwell our stage 2 winner. Let's take a look at the replay, and let's see if we can't see exactly what happened. I would love to back this up just a little further as well, because there was a bit of a build-up to this incident. I would love to see, as we watch this through, or off of turn 2 rather, Cody Gibson is going to get loose. He gets loose. He keeps it out of the wall. He gets loose, and he's going to overcorrect into the wall right here. He kind of gets on the throttle at a bad point. Rockingham's known for that. And he starts coming down the track at the same time as Caldwell is coming up the track, and those two come together. Now, I don't know officially, every detail as to what happened here, but I would like to think, based on what we saw right there, Andrew Caldwell might not have been ready for Cody Gibson to be slowing up right there, and might have wanted to slot in behind him, coming down the back straightaway, but Gibson had to check up, and by the time Caldwell was there, so was Gibson. We're going to watch right here. On board with the 46, and he's kind of maintaining right here. Gibson's struggling. Caldwell is trying to close in, and they just, in that kerfuffle, just kind of come together. I don't know that that's particularly one driver's fault over the other. They are racing for the stage win right here. Unfortunate for Cody Gibson, who was one of the fastest drivers tonight. Caldwell gets through unscathed, and with that, we can jump back up to the live feed. Drivers have made their pit stops. Andrew Caldwell holds on to the race lead as we run. Matt Semple in second place, Greg Mitchell in third, Dustin Ping in fourth, and Tanner Marr in fifth. Stage 1 winner Cody Gibson finds himself in P24 at the moment. He is 1 lap down as we run, having got a significant amount of damage fixed under yellow. Lights are still out on the pace car, so we are going to add an additional lap before we get settled back in for the final stage of the race, which, oh, by the way, just got a little bit longer with stage 2 ending early. While we're waiting one additional lap, let's go back one more time. We watched Caldwell's onboard. I would like to see Gibson's onboard. Certainly a Rockingham special right there. I want you to note that Cody Gibson doesn't even really overcorrect into the wall right here. He gets a little loose. He gets out of the throttle, but he's got the wheel pointed right. He just gets on the throttle right over one of these bumps, and that just sends the truck into the wall. It's happened to anybody who's raced here at Rockingham. It's just unfortunate that it happened during a wheel-to-wheel race, especially having that truck to the inside quarter panel where that's just going to send you to the inside. It doesn't always happen when you're side-by-side, but man, is it unfortunate when that is the case. All things said and done, we'll see if the lights go out of the pace car this time by. Oh, I tell you what, I think we are delaying the restart until the lap 90 point in the race, which would be one more time, just to finalize the stage officially and make sure that we don't get another yellow right after the restart. So these drivers are going to pace around a couple additional times. Caldwell, Semple, they're going to share the front row. Gibson no longer in the picture. Mitchell and Ping on the second row. And this race has just been blown wide open. Barr and Corey Sherman on the third row. Stuyvesant, Bowman on the fourth row. Jurgen Anderson on the fifth row. Biggest move of the race remains Corey Sherman, up 19 positions from where he started. At the moment, 23 drivers on the lead lap. Make it 24. I think Cody Gibson is still on the lead lap by the looks of it. Getting some damage fixed. I don't think he'll have the same speed that he had before, but not being a lap down is a pretty significant outcome here. All right, working lap number 90 right now. Lights should stay out on the pace car. And we'll see Caldwell in control from the inside line on the restart right here, as we get ready to work the final 110 laps of this race.
All right, well, down here into turn number 3, drivers getting ready to begin stage number 3. A couple of additional caution laps out here with the way the stage ended, but Andrew Caldwell, the race leader, with Matt Semple to his outside, and we're going to have just over 100 laps to conclude tonight's race.
Pace car is getting ready to pull off. Field in the hands of Andrew Caldwell. Get ready for some wheel spin here on these cold tires. Up through the gears we go. Great restart from Greg Mitchell in third place. And let's see if Matt Semple can hold on better than he did last time.
Semple's going to be able to carry the momentum on the outside of the Speedway right now as drivers work lap number 92 of 200 out here tonight, but Greg Mitchell down onto the inside. This could be the opening that Greg Mitchell needed with contact between Andrew Caldwell and Cody Gibson. Under this most recent yellow flag, it opens up the door for Mitchell, it opens up the door for Dustin Ping, and it opens up the door for that driver, that black and green number 3 machine.
It certainly does. We're going to see this battle heat up quite a bit. Andrew Caldwell trying to run and hide. Dustin Ping trying to take a little bit of a 2-for-1 opportunity that has presented itself to him right here. Going to try and work over Matt Semple for P3. Mitchell is finally cleared. Dustin Ping might get it on entry right here. We'll see how deep Matt Semple drives it in. He's going to relinquish that spot to defend from Corey Sherman behind.
Tanner Marr now into the back of the number 3 as these drivers begin to put a little bit of separation inside the top 5. Tanner Marr putting the back bumper massage on the number 3 of Corey Sherman. But Mike Stuyvesant, quiet night out here tonight for Mike Stuyvesant. I said it before, a little bit surprising to see him running down back in 7th after seeing his speed in practice. This looks very familiar to, I guess it was the North Wilkesboro race, Arie, where Mike slowly and methodically made his way up through the field. Before you knew it, he was one of the fastest cars out on the track.
Certainly the case when it comes to these races of attrition, at least as of recent. Mike's been keeping that nose clean and doing some good stuff right here. Another good run for that 20 truck could go a long way. Caldwell up front, he has opened that gap up to about 0.6 of a second over Greg Mitchell, another 0.6 to Dustin Ping in third place. Everyone's kind of gotten single filed out up to this point in the run. Keeping in mind, Tom, we do have a very long way to go in stage 3 right here, and if you want to make it on just one pit stop, it might require the slightest of fuel saving.
Yeah, drivers can go anywhere between 50 and 55 laps on fuel. We did have an extended caution there. Some drivers chose to come down pit road, some elected to stay out from the track position. Drivers that chose to top off throughout that course of the extended yellow flag, Larry Bell, currently back in 20th, Phil Van Vliet back in 22nd, Cody Gibson, well, I guess Cody was involved in the incident, but those 3 drivers have about 3 laps more in the tank, albeit under yellow flag conditions.
Something to keep our eye on for sure. Last time we were here in Rockingham, we did have a very long final run to the race, final green flag run that is. Wouldn't be surprised to see another one. Only 1 incident caution so far. Well, I suppose 2, but only 1 involving more than 1 driver so far tonight. So it's kind of surprising, Tom, at such a difficult track like it is here in Rockingham, to not have, you know, more multi-car collisions or incidents.
Yeah, and I think that shows like just how well these drivers are running the first half of this race out here, because you get up on the outside of turn number 2, and that outside wall comes very, very quick, and it's very easy to have an incident like we saw with Cody Gibson and Andrew Caldwell, where the outside car is bouncing down into the inside car. Haven't really seen that through the first 100 or so laps.
Certainly haven't. Further back, Larry Bell going to take a position to the inside of Paxton Frith. Battle for 18th on track at the moment. Larry Bell, one of those drivers who came down to top off on fuel, will be in a better position than most for the 3rd stage right here. Paxton Frith going to try the crossover and not going to be able to keep that truck planted on the inside. Give the spot to Larry Bell.
Larry Bell makes the pass and finds himself in 18th place. Dave Gainforth asked me, Dave's always giving me a hard time. Dave said, you better shout out my paint scheme out here tonight. Well, I said, well, what are you running? And he said, I'm in the Shiny Heine Car Wash Truck Center truck stop. I don't know what he's in, but Dave asked for a look at his paint scheme out here tonight. So Dave Gainforth, always out here having a good time, giving us some good paint schemes in the Shiny Heine Ford F-150.
He certainly does. That 101 truck's always got a good-looking paint scheme out there on track. I like this one as well. Pretty fitting category sponsor for Mr. Gainforth out there this season.
We do love a good paint scheme. Speaking of good paint schemes out here tonight, Tanner Marr, we kind of spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, and I believe it was Watkins Glen. Tanner Marr rocking a Christmas paint scheme out here tonight. I say it's fair game. Arie says not until Thanksgiving. Well, I guess now it's fair game.
It is now.
Arie's standards, but yeah, a couple of Christmas trees out here tonight. Casey Tomlinson's also got one, and Tanner Marr. So some of these drivers getting into the spirit here about a month early.
Who would be the most surprising driver to put a Christmas tree on the truck for you, Tom?
Honestly, Brian Dorsey. Brian Dorsey has been racing at the Cyber Thunder Racing League now for about 7 years. And I don't know how the team stays funded, because I don't know that we've ever seen a sponsor on the side of that number 9 truck. So Brian Dorsey, always a good time out here whenever we can get Brian out on track. But this is what his truck has looked like for the past 7 years.
I was going to say, I don't think I've even seen the colors change at any point.
No, well, you know, I mean, you can't always afford the paint when you don't have sponsors, so...
That's fair.
You know, you just go with... It's surprising it's not like a primer gray on that 9 truck.
A fair point indeed. We got to get Brian Dorsey a sponsor one of these days. Somebody out there. Get that 9 truck a nice paint scheme going. But out front, Andrew Caldwell, he's opened up this race lead a little over a second over Greg Mitchell, who's got a little over a second over Dustin Ping. These top 3 have kind of broken apart just a little bit. I guess Dustin Ping still got company in the form of Matt Semple on his rear bumper. But, man, Caldwell has had something figured out tonight.
You can see the distance now between Caldwell and Mitchell. now that Cody Gibson is kind of out of the picture, Cody Gibson back in 23rd place, I'd imagine he has some pretty significant damage on that moving truck. But Andrew Caldwell has opened up about just under a 1.5 second gap to second place Greg Mitchell. We talked about this being an opportunity for Greg Mitchell and Dustin Payne and Corey Sherman, but it really could be the opportunity of the night for Andrew Caldwell, because the only driver that the 46 hasn't been able to outrun on the longer runs really has been the one truck.
It certainly has been, and now the door is blown wide open. Ironically, he sees the one truck in front of him now, but that's a damaged and about to go a lap down version of that same truck at the moment. So as long as Caldwell can keep his head on straight, keep saving these tires, and keep himself ahead of Greg Mitchell behind, he will be in a good position to do so. But easier said than done. Greg Mitchell is one of Cyber Thunder's best.
It's always awkward when you come up to a truck that you had a previous incident with when you go to lap them, but Andrew Caldwell's going to take the outside lane, and Cody Gibson's going to stay low and get out of the way. But you see the damage on Cody Gibson's front end of that truck. Some significant damage there, as you can see that truck pushing. Not what Cody Gibson wanted to have happen out here after leading a bunch of laps in stage 1 and stage 2. Unfortunate end to his competitive night out here.
It is, and I think this is a pretty fitting omen for what we have to consider for the Scrambler Series coming up a little bit later in the series, Tom. Our playoffs this season are going to look a lot different from anything that we've ever seen. Every single race, we are going to eliminate 1 to 2 drivers, and the determination for that is whoever finishes the lowest of the bunch. And if this were one of those races, Cody Gibson could easily have gone from favorite to out entirely, just like that.
Yeah, and that's the unpredictability of the Scrambler Series, which begins in, I guess, 3 weeks' time. We got the Roval Talladega, and then we're going to begin our Scrambler Series, a 7-race run with 12 drivers. And there's going to be some heartbreak, and there's going to be some oh my gosh moments throughout the Scrambler Series. Damn.
There definitely will be some oh my gosh moments, as Cody Gibson's going to have to pull that truck off of the racing service and down on pit road, cannot continue in its current state. We're watching Corey Sherman running in the top 5 at the moment, up 19 positions from where he started, continuing to have a fantastic run. We talked about it before the start of the race, but Corey Sherman, all he needed was to finish the race on the lead lap, and that would have been a miracle compared to the luck that he's had recently. Well, he's doing a little bit more than that so far tonight in Rockingham. Ahead of this Hornet's Nest, at least a little bit further back, that's Brad Holmes, Tanner Marr, Eric Anderson, and maybe even Ed Jurgen now in this picture. This is a battle for 8th through 11th, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see a little bit more contact.
Eric Anderson's going to take a look down to the inside of the 4 machine of Tanner Marr as they exit turn number 2. But Ed Jurgen's also going to try to take a 2-for-1, as Tanner's now in danger of losing 2 spots in the same straightaway to the 43 and the 92. Ed's going to get loose on the exit of 4, and that's going to allow Tanner to still hang on with the breath of air on the outside lane of the 92.
That he is. They're going to continue to go at it, but it looks like Ed Jurgen's going to get the advantage off of the corner and down the back straightaway right here. Tanner Marr is going to slide back in and regroup just a little bit. That Ford truck losing a handful of positions right here, and here's a twist that I wasn't expecting, Tom. Matt Semple got back around Dustin Ping and has hunted down the 55 of Greg Mitchell. What has Mr. Semple learned up to this point in the race to have this sudden show of speed?
It's hard to say, Arie, but I mean, Matt Semple has been pretty much inside the top 5 almost the entire night. We've seen him come up, we've seen him go down a little bit, but he's been a solid fixture inside the top 5 out here tonight. Currently runs 3rd behind Greg Mitchell, and don't be surprised if Matt Semple continues to take notes and learn over these next 80 laps, as that's what these drivers have remaining out here in tonight's race. And you can just see the time difference between him and Mitchell the last couple of laps. Greg's really having kind of an off night out here tonight, and that's hard to say. Greg's running in 3rd. How do you say you're having an off night running in 3rd?
It's hard to say, and I tell you what, I want to switch this now to a comparison between Matt Semple and Andrew Caldwell. Caldwell gets the advantage that last lap as Matt Semple had to make the pass, but all of that orange right there, that's Matt Semple's advantage on Andrew Caldwell, our race leader. Half a second for about 2 laps in a row, and then it kind of evened out another 2/10. We'll see what it is now that he's around Mitchell this time by. It's going to be still back in Caldwell's house, so we'll see, but Matt Semple has found some speed regardless.
Matt Semple continues his hunt down to the race leader as we work lap 120 of 200. You see the time difference on the screen, just about 2 seconds, kind of hovering between 1.9 to 2.1. We'll call it 2 seconds for Matt Semple, and we'll check that in about 3 or 4 laps and see what the difference is here. As you can see, Matt Semple is now putting a lot of distance between him and third place Greg Mitchell as they run right now. I think a lot of that, Arie, was Matt trying to get around Greg Mitchell. And now that he's got some clean track, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Still holding about that 2-second mark.
Looks like he's got something going. One thing I would love to kind of investigate a little bit with these drivers. Let's jump on board with driver 16. I want to listen to corner entry.
Are you thinking fuel?
I'm thinking fuel. I wonder, because with where stage 2 ended and where these drivers were able to pit, especially these guys out front, they were not strictly good without saving just a little bit. At the moment, I don't hear clutches going in, but I do hear some very early letting out of the throttle, and maybe that's just some of the early signs of just saving that little bit of fuel. I figured if anyone, it was going to be, maybe Greg Mitchell here in third who gave up that position, but so far, we're not hearing too much of it. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
I tell you what, Arie, I think there's a couple of drivers that maybe tried to sneak one over on us. Tanner Marr has been down and off a pit road, so Tanner Marr electing to roll with a 2-stop strategy in stage number 3. Now, the danger of this is that he is, I want to say he's a lap down. We'll wait for timing and scoring to come around one more time. Yes, he is a lap down in the free pass position as they run, but Tanner Marr came down on pit road, and he was running fast. He was running at times in the top 5 or top 6. Does that force the hand of any of these drivers up here?
It's a bold strategy, but if you're Tanner Marr and you're getting beat straight up, you got to do something different than the guys around you, and nobody else was doing it. So props to the Ford truck for trying something different, trying to come down and make something stick. It could very well bring down another driver or 2, but if it's me out there on track, I always like less pit stops, if anything, especially when it comes to oval racing here. We'll see how the play is out. It could just be the right play for Tanner Marr. We'll keep an eye on that one as we go. Currently the only one who's come down in the recent laps.
You know I love my extra pit stops, right? I mean, if I got 6 sets of tires down there, we may as well use them all.
Well, I tell you what, you'll also come down at the beginning of the fuel window as well every time. And speaking of, here comes Corey Sherman, excuse me. Corey Sherman's going to elect for the 2-stop strategy. Now, this one I think is even more significant, Tom, because Corey Sherman was a top 5 truck out there on track. He's going to bring it down, and now this one might really get these drivers thinking, especially a driver like Greg Mitchell, who we've seen is struggling on these long runs. He could benefit, if anyone.
Yeah, it's such a dangerous game to play, as we see Brad Jones also coming on pit road. So some of these drivers now electing to come on pit road, but it's such a dangerous game to play because if Caldwell, Semple, Mitchell, Pink, if even one of these drivers elect to run to, I mean, they can run probably to about 140 or so. It's such a dangerous game to play because you could very easily get yourself quite a lap down.
Yeah, that's always the difficulty, and when you're at a short track like this, I particularly like 1-stops versus 2-stops because of that factor. If this was a bigger track, if this was a Pocono or a Michigan, I would feel a lot better because you're not risking being a lap down as much as you are at a track like Rockingham or Richmond or Bristol or what have you, right? That's always something you got to keep in mind. You never know when that yellow flag is going to wave, and if you get caught 1 lap down or even, heaven forbid, 2 laps down, that could be a race ender.
There are barrels here. I mean, you just talked about the challenges of getting onto pit road. Dustin Pink coming down on pit road here. Let's go on board with Dustin Pink as he's going to bring it down onto pit road.
He peels that truck down very early to get it woed up. I would think, if anything, Tom, he could have been a lot more aggressive on pit entry, might lose some time just from that alone. Will the 81 could just be a result of these older tires and not trusting them too much. A lot of these drivers have been making pit stops more than I would have expected to go for the two-stop strategy. I will say that. I think Andrew Caldwell is going to be committed to the one-stop, being out there in the race lead, but we'll see what we see out of these other drivers. Looked like for a second Gary Bowman might have been coming down, but he remains on track now up to P4. Eric Anderson finds himself P5. This is a pretty healthily split strategy out of the field, which I love to see. Jason Raymond's on pit road at the moment. Dave Gainforth on pit road at the moment as well. I love this, Tom. We've got about a 50-50 split, I want to say.
We do. First driver that's a lap down, I want to say, is it Tanner? Is it Dave?
Yes,
it might
Tanner
be
now.
Ed Jurgen comes onto pit road, so some of these drivers, Andrew Cuomo, not something Greg mentioned, they're not taking the bait of these top runners coming into pit road. Eric Anderson's going to be making his way onto pit road this time for the number 43. Watch him get this 43 woed down. He's going to come in a little bit hotter than Dustin Ping.
I love that entry. That was textbook out of Eric Anderson. Well done for the 43. I don't want to be the one to say I told you so or anything of the sort, but I do want to bring some attention to the driver in P8. Philip Van Vliet out there on track, 4 laps additional on fuel than anyone else out there. And I do believe earlier, Tom, if I said if it was going to be any more of a Philip Van Vliet race, we throw fuel into the mix. Well, look at driver 89 go now. I would be flabbergasted if he came down for a two-stop strategy.
Well, he last pitted on lap number 90. We're coming to 136, so he's coming to the very top end of his fuel run. He could probably run about 9 more laps off of the math in my head. And I guess that would put him at a very close window to lap 200, assuming that there's no overtime finishes.
Well, I tell you what, if anyone can save the fuel, it's certainly the Lone Dutchman. Now, where he finishes while doing that, I think that's up in the air, but I do think he can save the fuel no problem. And he's not even clutching it at the moment. He's just kind of letting out early, so he's got to be feeling comfortable enough with how he's running.
Another thing to keep an eye on, Arie, throughout this course of green flag pit stops, Matt Semple has closed from about 2 seconds to under a second to race leader Andrew Caldwell. Got a couple of cars in between him and race leader Andrew Caldwell, as you see Paxton Frith in the middle right there, a lap vehicle, trying to get one of his lap backs on fresher tires. But Matt Semple is here. And if I'm Andrew and I see the 16 coming, get me down to pit road right now.
It might be what he's thinking right here. I could tell just on corner exit. Right here this time, Andrew Caldwell does come down on a pit road, and that maybe forced his hand. Maybe Andrew was thinking one stop, and maybe now he's in an interesting boat. He's pit so much later than some of these other drivers. He's certainly going to lose some positions. He will have better tires than everyone else, but I wonder how much of that was planned versus forced from Matt Semple's speed. You can see it on corner exit each time by. Semple just had that truck pointed the right direction significantly better. We'll see if Matt Semple decides to come down. I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch as well, Tom. He stays out one more time. He seems to have good pace considering the old tires. He could very well try and stretch it himself.
So Tanner Marr, one of the first cars to come down, came down on lap number 19. We've got him up on the track map right now. You can just now see Andrew Caldwell starting to roll a little bit. It seemed like a pretty quick pit stop there for Andrew Caldwell. Where is he at on scoring? He's down at 14, so you can see the distance that Caldwell is going to need to gain to Tanner Marr, as Tanner Marr is just about a straightaway behind Caldwell, but he's actually a lap in front of him.
I think this is fascinating. I wouldn't have expected the gap to be a little over half of the length of the entire track. I think that's pretty significant. I would love to actually see on the track map, if possible, I would love to see Andrew Caldwell versus Greg Mitchell, being that those two were top 3 pre-pit stops. And Greg Mitchell last pit on lap. Let's see if we can't see. Or actually, no, Greg hasn't pit yet. I was under the impression he did. Never mind.
Yeah, Greg has not come down. The top, let's make it easy. The top 6 have yet to come down. 7th on down have pitted. Tanner came down on lap number 19. Corey Sherman came down on 126. Mike Stuyvesant, 128. 138 for Andrew Caldwell. So you've got a pretty wide range of tires out here. As I hear, it sounds like Matt Semple's come down on pit road this time.
That's going to be lap 142 coming to 143. He's within the window. He does not come down this time.
It's not.
He's in the window to make it with some fuel saving. He couldn't make it pushing from here. We'll see how this goes, but these drivers, all of the remaining drivers, are going to have to come down pretty quickly here.
Let's take a look here real quick, Arie. Something I think we may have overlooked here. Listen to that.
Greg Mitchell certainly throwing the clutch in. Not that time into turn 3.
Matt Semple's opened up a 12-second gap between first and second place. Matt Semple, the race leader, Greg Mitchell in second. Brian Dorsey currently runs in third. Let's see if Brian Dorsey is doing the same thing.
Maybe Brian Dorsey's just trying to get some TV time to find a sponsor.
I think we can get him a Christmas tree or so. But these drivers not throwing the clutch in, but you can hear that they're not in the throttle as soon as they're able to. Lee Campbell's going to make his way onto pit road. So we've got a wide range here. All this is happening. Corey Sherman, there's a lot going on here, but I do believe that Corey Sherman is going to be the net race leader, but he will need to stop at least one more time as the race leader, Matt Semple's on pit road.
Yeah, Corey Sherman's going to be the lead 2-stop strategy driver as it's all playing out. Andrew Caldwell is in an interesting boat. He's kind of in between the 1 and the 2-stop. So I don't know where to put Caldwell at the moment. Mitchell and Dorsey both going to come down along with Semple this time by. In terms of drivers stretching it, Philip Van Vliet does stay out on track, and that makes him the last one of this sequence to need a pit stop. The Lone Dutchman, last pit on lap 90, currently working 146. He will be in a very comfortable position to make it to the end, Will Phillip, having made it this far.
You got your whiteboard out here tonight, Arie? I feel like
I got my whiteboard.
It's getting a lot of use in the strategies that we're seeing out here. So, yeah, Philip Van Vliet last came down on lap number 90. He was one of the drivers that came down under that extended yellow flag condition at the end of stage number 2. So Corey Sherman can probably run to about 170, 175, 180 at the very upper end. But second place Tanner Marr was one of the first cars to come down pit road. He's 3.5 seconds behind the race leader. So Tanner's goal here in the next...
Oh, that's supposed to be hold for 40 seconds.
Tanner's goal here is got to be, he's got to get to Corey Sherman before they do come down again, in case the drivers who just came down can't make it.
Certainly the case. I think, another interesting to keep in mind here, Tom, is while Philip hasn't pit for his final stop, he is behind a number of these 2 stoppers. So if you think, we're just going to play this all out all the same once again, where does Philip end up being the best of or the longest running of the 1-stoppers? We'll see. Looks like he's finally going to bring it down this time by. And there he does off of the racing surface. So Philip will be good on fuel. He's not going to be worried about that. It'll all be speed from here on out. Mike Stuyvesant sits in a pretty good position ahead of this kerfuffle, as I like to say. And this is so interesting. I feel like we have 3 different strategies going on. I mean, we have 2 stoppers that stopped on lap 119 and we have maybe 2 stoppers that stopped on lap 138 in Caldwell. I'm really not sure what the play is from the 46 here, Tom, but we'll see how it goes. Caldwell has finally caught Tanner Marr. We saw he was over half the track behind the 4. Well, he got there, and he's gone just like that, so maybe it's going to work out for the 46.
And Caldwell has retaken the 3rd place running position. He is not that far behind Mike Stuyvesant. He's actually within striking distance, and with 10 lap better tires here, we may see a 3-wide scenario unfolding here between the 55, 20, and 46. On the exit turn number 2, Greg Mitchell's going to be the first one around Stuyvesant, followed by Caldwell. Stuyvesant's going to lose 2 spots to Mitchell and Caldwell with about 10 lap better tires, and you can see the time difference here now between Corey Sherman, the race leader, and second place Andrew Caldwell. Last time by 152 was over a half a second. That time by was over 6 tenths of a second.
We can watch from on board the 46 truck of Andrew Caldwell. Corey Sherman, the 3rd truck in front of the 46 right here. Corey Sherman is going to get passed on track by Amanda Sherman on fresher tires.
How did Greg go to 15?
It's a good question. Greg is one of the 1-stoppers, Tom. That might be it. So Greg just made his final pit stop. Everyone else is going to have to come down again.
He pit on 140. Yeah, there's a whole lot going on. He pit on 146. Caldwell pitted about 8 laps before. Sounds like Tanner. Oh, never mind. I'm hearing things. I thought Tanner was coming down on pit road, but it was not.
Well, I tell you what.
You could see that gap closing. We're now within a second to the race lead.
These two are both going to be in frame on the back straightaway right here. We might as well keep the action on the 46 because he's reeling in that 3 truck faster than you would believe. Probably on this next lap around. We'll watch from the rear end of that 3 truck, Corey Sherman, our race leader at the moment. The highest running 2-stopper, unless Caldwell ends up making a 2nd stop. That would make Caldwell that truck, but we'll see how it's all going to work out for these drivers. Caldwell gets an insane run down the Thunder Alley backstretch. Down into turn 3, he's going to have a huge advantage, take it to the outside, and maybe bring the 9 truck of Brian Dorsey along with him.
New race leader, put it in the hands of Andrew Caldwell. Once again, Brian Dorsey lap down from a speed penalty on pit road that truck out here. You can see the difference in speed between him and Corey Sherman as he's going to be saving for the 46.
So he's still trying to make it on 1 stop.
This is Corey here, yeah.
On board with the 46 of Andrew Caldwell, kind of listening to the throttle here. Seems pretty standard at the moment.
This is going to leave us with 13 drivers on the lead lap. Andrew Caldwell, the first one. Greg Mitchell, the last one. First driver 1 lap down is going to be Paxton Frith. Lee Campbell, about 5 seconds behind Paxton Frith for the free pass position. As they run right now, that's going to change lap over lap as Andrew Caldwell continues to put additional drivers 1 lap down. But now with 40 laps to go, under 40 laps to go, in tonight's event, Andrew Caldwell's next biggest competitor is probably going to be Eric Anderson, who has 5 laps fewer than the 46, currently runs in 4th. And the first driver with more fuel than Caldwell is it Semple? Matt Semple is the first one with more fuel than Caldwell.
Well, I tell you what, Semple's for sure going all the way to the finish without another pit stop. Caldwell kind of up in the air. I think Sherman, Stuyvesant, those guys for sure have to pit. They're not going to make it. Holmes has to pit. We got you named just about every lap between 120 and 140, and there's at least one driver who pit in that on that given lap. It's quite the quite the jumbled strategy we got going on here. New development, Corey Sherman from second place is going to be the first driver to pull it down, first of the two stoppers to make the final pit stop, now on lap 163. Corey Sherman in the 3 truck for the final time, going to bring it down, slide into his box. Did he go too far? He is good on that one. We'll wait to see who decides to follow suit. Caldwell continues to lead this race, now 6 seconds ahead of Mike Stiverson running in P2. Nobody joins Corey Sherman on pit road this time by until we get to Dave Gainforth in the 101's going to bring it down from a little bit further back in the pack. Nice and easy on entry.
I tell you what, Arie, I don't want to put this out into existence, but how this race would be flipped on its head if we had an untimely caution here with just over 30 laps to go in tonight's event, the Motor Trucker 200, sponsored by Gary Bowman. Out here tonight, that would really make it interesting out here, even more than it already is with all these different strategies we've got.
You know, I can't even fathom trying to figure out who goes where on what with a caution at any point from here to the rest of the race. So let's hope it goes great. I think it's shaping up to be quite an interesting situation. Jason Raymond, Andy Cork are both on pit road. Eric Anderson in the 43, we're going to see him pull down and join the others for their final stop of the race. Ed Jurgen in the 92 is going to pull it off of the racing service and make his final pit stop of the night, and this is going to continue to cycle the field through. We're going to see our one-stoppers make their way out front. Caldwell, we're unsure about. Will he try to make it from here? Will he pit another time? Not certain. Stiverson and Ping have to pit. Matt Semple is the first driver who we know can make it to the end in that 16 truck. That bright white and yellow Chevy Silverado now making his way past a couple of these drivers. We know the 16 is good to the end. The rest around him, little up in the air. They might be saving fuel. They might be for sure making a second stop. It's going to be interesting to see as we watch Mike Stiverson dive down. Gary Bowman dive down as well right behind him.
All this is happening, and Andrew Caldwell has a 9-second gap, almost a 9-second gap, to second place Matt Semple, and 10 seconds over third place Dustin Ping. Now the advantage that they have is that Matt's got 8 lap better tires. Sounds like Dustin Ping's going to be coming down this time for the 81, so now that's going to leave just 2 drivers. Make it 4 drivers. Caldwell, Semple, Mitchell, and Dufton. Nathan Dufton is going to take a top 5 running position from these drivers that are coming down on pit road. And here comes Andrew Caldwell, the race leader.
All right, big development.
Question answered.
Question answered. Dustin Ping is going to get hit with a speeding penalty on pit road. Not what the 81 needed, a driver who was in contention for a top 5. Gonna get hit with the speeding penalty. Nobody else up to this point. Dufton is on pit road as well, teammate of Caldwell. 46 pulling it around and getting it parked in that pit stall. Now this is going to be the battle to the end, I do believe. Matt Semple, Andrew Caldwell for the race win. Matt Semple stretching it to the end. Andrew Caldwell taking the 2-stop strategy, going to have those fresh tires. Now, Andrew Caldwell is a lap down. He is going to have to make up more than an entire track length. He's got to go all the way around and then make up that about quarter distance of the track on Matt Semple. It's a tall task, Tom. In 28 laps...
It is. With drivers clicking off laps around 26 seconds or so, we could say that this race, if it runs green, has about 15 minutes of run time. In order to make up that time, I mean, he's going to need to be just about a second faster each and every lap and not have the tire degradation as this run goes along for the 46.
I just don't see how he can do it. I think Matt Semple might have played this to perfection, though, as you've previously mentioned, all it takes is a yellow to throw everything out the window. As it sits, Matt Semple has a 14.5-second gap on second place Greg Mitchell, who is also good to make it to the end. as we run. Corey Sherman, lead of the two stoppers, is now the first truck one lap down, and you can see him right back there making his way up through the field. He'll be passed by Caldwell before too long to put the 46 in that seat. But all eyes fall on the 16.
Take a look at Matt Semple. Still sounds like he's going. There's no clutch on that number 16 truck. Now he's got some room to work. He's got 15 and almost a half seconds back to second place Greg Mitchell. Maybe Greg being a little bit more conservative on the throttle for that number 55, but Matt Semple continues to put down the better of the two laps for the lead lap cars, which is easy to track. Now that there's only 3 cars on the lead lap, as Corey Sherman's actually going to get around Matt Semple on fresh tires with about 20 lap better tires for that number 3, and he's going to drive away and set his sights on a caution right now would be perfect.
That it is, and this actually benefited Caldwell right there. The way that traffic played out slowed up Matt Semple quite a bit. Caldwell was able to follow his teammate Dufton around the high side, get around and get back on the lead lap. So now we are officially watching the 3 and the 46 try to make up an entire lap on the 16. You can see on the track map right there. The 16 will be running slower than most everyone else to the end of the race. That is the benefit that they have. Matt Semple's just got to bring it around, make sure there's enough fuel in it, keep the nose clean, and get to the checkered flag. The others are going to be pushing, and at some point, they're going to push enough that they stop having such an advantage on lap time.
And it's moments like these, though, Arie, that Matt's not able to run his optimal lap times. Now, he's not running optimal lap times to begin with because he's on 20 to 30 lap old tires. But when you get caught up in other cars that are faster than you, even though you're the race leader because they've got fresh tires, then there's not a whole lot that you can do except give up that spot and you know, say, hey, they're just gonna have to go around me.
It's a really good point you make. It's a tricky position to be in when you're in Matt Semple's shoes right here, because you are the race leader, and typically, you know, the race leader is going to kind of get the right of way in any given situation. But you know, when you're the race leader and you're on the old tires, you're defending, you're trying to survive, the entire field is just making their way around you like it's nothing on fresh tires, and you've got to compromise your line to make sure that there's no incidents that happen, to make sure that you're, you know, running predictably and everyone can get around you safely, and that just slows you up even more. So it's going to come down to how much traffic Matt Semple catches, and if he continues to catch them at bad times, like he did when the 46 got his lap back. Current advantage for Matt Semple is almost 17 seconds over Greg Mitchell. But the real gap we're looking at is to Andrew Caldwell in third, 19.2 seconds, 0.1. Stays at 0.1 through turn 1 and 2 there, 19.0, 18.9, 18.8. You can see just how quick it's coming down. It will not come down that quick every single lap from here to the end, but the longer Caldwell can keep that sort of pressure on, the better it's going to be. His chances at catching Semple before it's all said and done. He will, of course, have to make his way around Greg Mitchell, who he is coming up on right about now. Greg Mitchell's been struggling on the longer run, so I don't imagine this pass would be the hardest one out there to make, though he does have some traffic ahead, some lap traffic. Gonna dive down to the inside and make it look like he's on easy mode. That is officially P2 for the 46 of Andrew Caldwell. The only driver for position ahead is the race lead. He's going to have to check up big time for the lap down car of Rick Thompson. That is going to hurt his chase of race leader Matt Semple.
Andrew Caldwell has cut about 10 seconds out of the race lead of Matt Semple and is now 16 seconds back. Last time by, Andrew Caldwell ran a 24.81 to a 25.03 for the race leader. So Andrew Caldwell, Yeah, it's
Not
actually
not going to
more
be
than
enough.
that.
He would
We're down
need.
to about 15 seconds.
I mean, he's doing, when he's in clean air, he's doing about a second a lap. He would just need a couple more laps at the rate they're going. I think for Andrew's 2-stop to have worked better, he would have needed to make that first stop a little earlier than he did. And I think maybe the 46 got caught between a rock and a hard place. You know, he wanted to do a 1-stop, realized that Semple was going to do better on the 1-stop, and kind of called an audible at an awkward time. Now, of course, a caution would change everything. Remains to be seen. He's going to get caught behind the 9 truck of Brian Dorsey, and every single time this happens, it just hurts the chances that much more.
And take a look at the times as they come across the stripe. 26.5 to 25.9, so about 0.6 better for Andrew Caldwell that time by. But time is running out. We are now within 14 seconds of first and second place, and Matt Semple sees. He's going to see 11 laps to go next time by.
Time is ticking down. Laps are dwindling. Fuel situation looks okay for the field. Matt Semple should be good to go.
It's got to be one of the craziest fuel races I think we've ever seen. Usually when you see a fuel race, you see everybody kind of do the same thing within 3 to 5 laps of each other. Here we had 3 different strategies out here tonight.
Yeah, we had 3 different strategies. We had like cobbled together half strategies. We had improvisation. We really had a little bit of everything. It's certainly the most chaotic fuel race that I've ever witnessed, and the way that it's all playing out is really fascinating. I do always love when you've got converging strategies in the closing laps, and I think if this was a 210 lap race, it might just be in Caldwell's wheelhouse here, but I think it's just going to come up a little too short, assuming we go green for the last 10 laps. I mean, he's going to bring it down within 10 seconds before too long here, but I mean, given Matt Semple doesn't have to be, clutching on corner entry, he's not saving, he's able to just kind of run at the pace of those tires, he's going to be able to hold on.
All right, just under 10 laps to go. Let's do a quick reset of your current running positions. Matt Semple, current race leader. Andrew Caldwell in second. Andrew Caldwell is 11 seconds back, but over a second a lap faster than Matt Semple. Can he get there? Can he not get there? That's going to be the question. Corey Sherman runs third right now. Greg Mitchell, Eric Anderson. That's the top 5 as they run. And yeah, you see the distance between Matt Semple and Andrew Caldwell. The gap is starting to slow down between first and second.
That it is. All of the lap traffic kind of evening out as well in terms of pace and tire wear. On board with Matt Semple, you can hear him still not cutting the engine out on corner entry. That tells me that 16's feeling good to the end. He's just trying to survive at this point. He knows he's got a faster Andrew Caldwell behind him, but I think he's also aware that there's not enough time. He's just hoping he can get to the white flag before a yellow flag finds its way out.
Matt Semple, the current race leader, he's going to make his way, or try to make his way, around Andy Court. Right up here in front of him. Matt's going to get up into the outside retaining wall just a little bit here, and he's going to be able to make that pass. He's got Ed Jurgen right behind him now. Ed is currently running in the 6th place position, first car 1 lap down, so trying to get his lap back the hard way in the event that a caution flag comes out. Now, that's a big difference, Arie. If the caution comes out right after Ed gets his lap back, then Ed's able to pit with the lead lap cars and restart this race essentially in 5th place. If he needs to take the wave around for whatever reason, even though he would be back on the lead lap, he's now going to be restarting 25th on the following restart. So this 92 very much so wants to get his lap back even with 4 laps to go.
That he does, and let's not forget the 00 right behind him. That's for position between those two. It's for position, and we're looking at lap down versus lead lap. There's a lot to race for right here with these guys. And Ed Jurgen, oh, so close off of turn 2 right there, gets the truck straightened out. He's trying to be careful with our race leader, and not hinder his race, but man, he is trying to get around him.
If I'm Matt Semple right now, I'm saying, you know what? I'm wasting more time racing you. Just go. Just take the spot. Both of you can have it, and then you guys can figure out who's in front of who between the two of you. But, I mean, Matt Semple last time by was about 4/10 slower.
I'm of mind with you, Tom. If I'm in the 16, I'm letting these two go, especially with how crazy some of these moves have looked. Looks like he's finally going to get Ed to the inside, but Matt Semple's not ready to give that up just yet. He's gonna stay in it and keep running at the speed he's running.
So Ed Jurgen's going to get back on the lead lap. Brad Holmes also going to get back on the lead lap. Maybe not just yet. But Brad was going to follow Ed Jurgen. Did not do that. So now Ed Jurgen puts himself back on the lead lap in 8th, but Matt Semple's going to see the white flag here from Rockingham.
We got some drivers that are about to have a fantastic finish. Much of the top 5, top 10 names who have been looking forward to this, but none more so than driver 16, Matt Semple, who has had an interesting year to say the least. But he's going to bring that Alto Chevy Silverado off of turn 4 and to the checkered flag. Matt Semple is your winner in Rockingham on a crazy fuel night. He is going to take over victory lane as we jump a little further back to the line. The battle for the final spot on the top 5. Mike Stiverson going to beat out Gary Bowman in the closing laps for that spot. And Matt Semple has done it, puts his name in the winners column here in Rockingham. Not the first time we've seen Matt Semple win in a fuel-related race. I think he's going to be a name we need to consider moving forward when it comes to fuel races.
Absolutely, and Matt Semple's going to get his first win of the season as he's going to burn it down here at the start-finish line as we wait for the top 3 finishers to make their way up to the waiting room, and we're going to get a word with the podium finishers out here tonight. Arie, what a crazy race out here tonight. 200 laps. I didn't foresee it playing out like that.
I didn't either. That was maybe the best Rockingham race that I've ever seen, let alone called. And I tell you what, that's 3 seasons running and 1 win in each season for Matt Semple at this point. He's becoming the consistent good for a win every single year type here in Cyber, a Kurt Busch, if you will. So props to the Maple Missile for putting it in victory lane.
All right, well, while we look for Andrew Caldwell out here tonight, we're going to grab a word with the 3rd place finisher out here tonight, and that is Corey
Surprise,
Sherman.
motherfucker.
Hey, Corey. Congratulations on the 3rd place
Hi,
finish.
Tom. Thanks, man. You know, it's either podium or get wrecked out before turn 2.
Well, yeah, we were joking a little bit before the start of the race. And you were saying that, you know, Tom, I'm just going to start from pit road. Every time I start on track, I can't make it past turn 2. But tonight you started 24th on the grid. You rolled off a little bit deeper in the field than you wanted to, maybe exactly where you wanted to, but you found your way working your way through the field through stage 1 and stage 2. Talk us through those first 2 stages, and we'll get to stage 3 and fuel in a little bit.
Yeah, I decided not to qualify. I did want to run in the back, at least complete 1 lap. So I took it easy. So I moved up a lot, saving my tires. The first stage, I think I got up to like 7th or 8th, and then I was like, oh, looks like we have the long run speed. Luckily, it wasn't full of cautions, and yeah, I was able to just keep working my way up. I knew Andrew was going to be tough. I was hoping he was going to pit later, but I didn't think Matt was going to be able to fend us off with pulling the fuel strategy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw you make your way up in stage 1 and stage 2, and then came the fun part of the fuel strategy for stage number 3. You last came down on 163. You kind of followed Tanner down, if I remember correctly, about a lap or two behind the 4, and that kind of set you up as you were one of the first 2 cars to come down pit road. When did you ultimately decide that you were going to be doing a 2-stop strategy in stage number 3?
Well, I decided that in when I saw how bad the fall off was. So the first one, I decided I was going to pit at. I looked at my stint and I was at 37. So I'm like, that kind of works out a little bit better. So I was trying to figure out. I was thinking about pitting at lap 125. I'm like, no, I want to push it a little bit longer so I don't have a lot of so I have don't have a lot of laps on my tires at the end. But 37 seemed to work for runs.
All right, well, Corey, you're going to come home 3rd place out here tonight. Yeah, you've had some bad luck in your season. Now with the podium finish out here, what are the chances we see on track next week at the Roval?
Oh, I'll definitely be at the Roval. It's one of my favorite road courses. I think it's the only road course I kind of like besides Watkins Glen.
All right, well, I guess we'll see you next Tuesday night, Corey. But before we let you go and give Amanda a hug for us, we're going to let you say hello to any family, friends, anybody back home watching you come home with a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, I hope my parents are watching. I sent the link. TNA Motorsports, old school TNA tonight. It was me and Amanda and Philip. So that was fun running with those guys. And everybody go check out AIChiefRacing.com. It's a new app I'm working on. A new crew chief in the car tonight. And the strategy's not even in yet. And I still did good. So can't wait to see what this does. And AI Chief Racing on all the socials. Check it out, especially on TikTok.
All right, check it out on the Tickety Talks. That's what all the kids do nowadays. But Corey, congratulations!
Is that what they say? Is that they say it's on the Tickety Talks?
the Tickety Talks. Yeah, that's what the kids say. Anyway, Corey, get out of here. Congratulations on a third place finish. And
can't wait to watch the broadcast.
Goodbye, Corey. And that's going to leave 2nd place, Andrew Caldwell, to Arie.
That it is. I've got our runner-up tonight, Andrew Caldwell, in a race of what could have been. My first question for you, Andrew, is when it came to that first pit stop on that final run, were you planning on trying to make it a 1-stop and then suddenly kind of improvise to a 2-stop? Was it planned to come down that late the whole time? What kind of went on there?
I was planning for a 1-stop. And I wasn't gonna make it on fuel, so I instantly pitted to have a tire advantage on whoever was still out there, and it almost worked, man.
That it did. I was telling Tom, if this race was 210 laps or so, it could have been, and it was surprising to see Matt Semple be able to hold on to that 1-stop as good as he did, considering most everyone else wound up taking that 2-stop out of there. But you came out here to Rockingham, you had a lot of speed. We had that incident a little early on with Cody Gibson early in the race, trying to battle for the end of stage 2. What were you thinking, as that incident happened and kind of, it played out? It kind of put you in the seat where you were in control of the race. What was kind of going through your mind?
Well, first off, I want to say sorry to Cody Gibson. Didn't want to. Oh, I was in the replay, but I don't know if I wrecked him or he got the wall and came down. But at that point, I was hoping I didn't have too much damage from it, which I luckily didn't have. And then from there, I mean, personally, I thought he was the only truck that could really keep up with me. Run the same pace. And once he, parked it, I knew I had a great shot at winning, but just the maple missile was able to save the tires and save fuel.
He certainly was. Well, I tell you what, you were one of the fastest drivers out there on track tonight. It was a great showing for that 46. Get you going back in the right direction. We've got 2 more races before the Scrambler Series shows up for the end of the season. We've got the Roval and we've got Talladega. It's quite a diverse set of tracks. How are you feeling going into the Roval next week?
I don't really know. The Roval's kind of you can get loose in lots of spots. So you really got to be careful But and then Talladega's just a wild card. Hope you don't get caught in the big one and survive to the end.
Certainly the case. Well, we are going to open up the floor to you, Andrew, before we let you go. Any shout-outs, thank you, Hayes and Highs, and all of the sorts before we let you go.
Yeah, want to thank Gary Bowman for sponsoring us out here tonight. Want to thank you and Tom up in the booth for broadcasting for us, and I want to say thank you to Mom, Dad, and my sister.
All right, there is our runner-up finisher on the evening, Andrew Caldwell, and I do believe Tom is caught up with our race winner.
That I have, Arie, and the race winner out here tonight, Matt Semple, driver out of Canada. Matt, congratulations on your first win of the season. This one, you've been knocking on the door for several weeks, and you finally break through and get the checkered flag out here tonight. How was your race?
Yeah, it was good there. Whatever I was doing in practice, I did not do during the race. So I was just trying to learn. Started P6 there, I believe, and kind of saw, the fast guys to watch like Cody Gibson and Greg Mitchell, and saw the line that they were running, and kind of figured I'd try it out. And it seemed to pay off. My short run speed was not good at all. I was really bad on about 5 to 10 lap old tires, and then after that I felt like it came in and I could just keep gaining on everybody ahead of me and picking off one by one. So I think it was just came down to tire saving there, and just try and do the best not to abuse the tires, and really just be disciplined and take the corners nice and easy and make the passes smart.
Yeah, that you did, and you're gonna have to kind of walk me through your stage 3 because we had a whole bunch of strategies going along. It's a good thing Arie was here to keep up with it because I was just kind of sitting in the passenger seat. So you last pitted on lap number 146. So you wound up dedicating yourself to a one stop pretty early in the stage 3. Kind of bring us through your decision to do that and set yourself up for a long run to the finish.
Yeah, I've seen Greg Mitchell do that in the past lots of times and get a win or a podium finish out of it. So I decided to gamble a bit, and I decided to do that gamble because my long run speed was better, I felt like, than majority of the cars out there. So I didn't really, you know, worry too much about maybe getting past the last run. Like my biggest worry was going green the whole way. If a caution would have came out, then the strategy would have been completely thrown out the window. But I felt confident in the long run speed of the truck there tonight to do that one stop, and it paid out.
It did, and I'll say, Arie and I, we were talking about the possibility of an untimely caution coming out and kind of flipping the race on its head. Did not happen out here tonight, but tonight you get your third top 3, fourth top 5, seventh top 10 out of 13 starts in the season. Now, Matt, you got to be feeling pretty good about going into the Scrambler Series. Now, you came in here tonight, you were 46 points above above the cut line, so you're probably going to be teetering on the edge of locked in after tonight's win. Moving ahead to the Scrambler Series, however, we have Atlanta Motor Speedway, the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, the 2008 version, Kentucky, Richmond, Pocono, Texas, Michigan, and then finally, we're going to determine a champion at Charlotte Motor Speedway, America's home for racing. Any of those tracks you're like super concerned about and saying, "Oh, I don't know if I can. I'm going to really have to put in some extra laps in this at this track."
Um, Not really. Like, not to sound cocky, but I feel like this truck shows enough speed that it can be a top 10, top 5 truck every week, as long as we don't do any mistakes or get caught up in any untimely wrecks. I mean, we show the speed. We're just gotta get more consistent, and then once we do that, I don't see why we can't fight our way through the playoffs there.
No, that's how the Scrambler Series is won, just by consistency. And Matt, you came out here tonight and you showed that you had the consistency in those tires to hang on for your first win of the season. Matt, we're going to open up the floor for anyone you say hello to, say thanks to. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, first off, shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast. It's always great. I'm looking forward to going back and watching this one. I feel like there was a lot of entertainment in the race. Shout out to my mom and dad for watching. They're big supporters and everything. So thanks for them for watching. Shout out to my wife, my smoking hot wife, for letting me do this every Tuesday. And this win's a little extra special because my daughter just turned 3 months old today, so that's it's a good win. And I'd like to thank my my race sponsor, Alto Construction, out of Orangeville, Ontario. If you need any construction needs in the Orangeville area or surrounding areas, hit them up. They're a great company. They do good work.
All right. Well, congratulations, Matt, once again on a win out here in the Tuesday Night Thunder Championship Truck Series. We will see you next week at the Roval. All right, Arie, and that's Rockingham in a nutshell. That was a lot of fun to watch out here tonight with all the differing strategies that these drivers gave us to talk about out here from the Rock. What a race that was.
What a race indeed. It had just about everything that you could possibly ask for. And we get ready to go to the Roval, which, you know, out of all of the road courses, probably gives you everything that you could possibly ask for. So we've got a fun little couple of weeks ahead of us, all the while looking forward to setting up our playoff picture for that ever curious Scrambler series coming up. But I tell you what, you know, earlier on in the season, Matt Semple was one of those drivers who, you know, felt like he was just kind of having some bad luck. He was running better than he was finishing and couldn't get it quite put together just right. And tonight, everything kind of fell his way. He made the right decisions. He ran a fantastic race. He puts that 16 truck back in victory lane. And let's not forget that Matt Semple was a Championship 4 contender the previous season. So if he can start hitting his stride week in and week out, he is going to be a threat for the championship.
That he certainly is. As the fans begin to make their way out of Rockingham Speedway, we're going to take a look at the rundown from tonight's race from Rockingham, race sponsored by Gary Bowman. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Bowman for picking up tonight's race. Thank you, Gary, for doing so. Top 10 going to be Matthew Semple. Andrew Caldwell's going to come home second after leading a bunch of laps. Corey Sherman, in his return to the Cyber Thunder Racing League, comes home with a podium finish. Eric Anderson has a solid run out here tonight in 4th place. Mike Stuyvesant, fastest in practice, going to come home with the top 5. Gary Bowman, the race sponsor, comes home in 6th place, followed by Greg Mitchell. Ed Jurgen comes home in 8th. Brad Holmes going to be the first car 1 lap down, followed by Jason Raymond as the top 10.
Just outside of the top 10, another solid performance from Lee Campbell in the 60. Philip Van Vliet on the 1 stop. Made it to P12 by the end of it. Nathan Dufton in 13th. Andy Cork in the 41 brings it home 14th. Dave Gainforth in the 101 top 15 tonight. Ahead of Paxton Frith in 16. Dustin Ping didn't go the way he wanted to, down in 17th ahead of the War Wagon. Amanda Sherman finishes in 18th. Brian Dorsey, after that late speeding penalty, will finish in 19th. And Rick Thompson rounds out the top 20.
And Casey Tomlinson's going to come home 21st on the board out here tonight in that number 52. Tanner Mark has an early night. He decided to beat the traffic out and go get some lunch. But Tanner Mark's going to come home 22nd on the board, followed by Cody Gibson. Led a bunch of laps, and then we saw the contact between the 46 and the 1. What could have been for Cody Gibson, a season favorite, second in the points. Stephen Music's going to come home in 24th place, 89 laps down, followed by Larry Bell in that 05 out of 5 Kings Motorsports. Chris Letts and Frank DiMaggio rounds out our field of 27 drivers out here tonight from Rockingham.
14 races down. Next week at the Roval marks 15 of 23. The final stretch of the season is upon us. Who's it going to be next week? Who's it going to be in the Scrambler Series? Who's going to be our champion? All those questions and more to be decided. But I tell you what, Tom, we don't have that far of a drive from Rockingham to the Roval in the same state and everything. You know some good places around here?
I think there's a Buc-ee's like 3 hours south of here. We could stop at Virginia and then make our way over. But yeah, we're going to be at the Roval next week. Same time, same place. Tuesday night, we're going to see these drivers take to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the road course, the 3rd of the season and final of the season. If you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, make sure that you click that like button, get subscribed every single time Arie and I go live here from the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series from the Cyber Thunder Racing League. And yeah, follow along and join us as the playoffs begin here in just 3 weeks' time.